Hello and welcome. I hope you can all hear me. My mic says you can. And yeah, welcome to the first stream of 2025. And I'm glad to be back on a Friday evening. I kind of miss when I don't stream. So yeah, really eager to hop in today. And yeah, today's topic will be, I think, the topic of the year. So I will be doing a lot more content about it. Already something prepared. It's a lot in the pipeline. So yeah, I'll try to ramp up my content production again. And yeah, what we want to talk about today is basically AI agents in 2025. And right away, I think they will be quite huge. We will have a surge in capability. We will have a surge in latency because like small models getting better again. Small models getting multimodal, like truly multimodal. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff to uncover. Depending on how it goes, I might even share some insights into some of the things I did the last weeks and over Christmas to, actually get a bit deeper into the whole agent thing. And I would love to start with a question. So imagine a world where AI agent handle your daily tasks from scheduling meetings to managing your finances. How would that change your life? And to be completely honest, that's something I'm eager to get my hands on at some point. Is basically that. I want someone to help me handle all the stuff that's in the way of me being creative. And that being said, I think there is like a huge potential in the general like industry and in all businesses to do exactly that, to remove people who could add value or add more value in something, doing something different, and remove them from repetitive tasks, which are only done because someone had to do them, right? We all know these tasks, like scheduling is a good thing, like making appointments, searching through documents, categorizing documents, all this stuff. And we are already pretty far into doing that thing with AI. But I think we're still some steps, at least from a mass adoption standpoint, some steps away from actually being at a point where we actually let AI do this for us. What do I mean by this? So, generally speaking, AI agents are kind of thrown around a lot. Today was again something by Google thrown in called Agent Space, which basically is their answer to Copilot Studio. And all of these they have what I consider to be agentic possibilities. But in general, and what they show is mostly like sophisticated RAG systems with a bit more integration. And that being said, they're not far off, I think. So there will be a lot of ways to leverage Copilot Studio, Google Agent Space, and whatnot. But I think there's still this element of stuff being kind of manually and stuff being like one-sided. So, for example, I prompt the AI to get me a finance report, and then it goes ahead, pulls the data, gives me the finance report. But wouldn't it be better for the AI to actually trigger us to deliver that report or to give us insights into that report before we even ask? And that's kind of this step of autonomy and AI doing things for us that I'm missing for the moment or for the time being. Okay, but that's enough for the introduction. Let's just look at what we are talking about today. So I prepared our usual Excalidraw, but we won't be too long inside here. So what are we going to talk about? First of all, what are AI agents? Like I said, is like a topic that's thrown around a lot. And what I want to do is take an article from, I think it was shortly before Christmas, from Anthropic, the makers of Claude AI. And they came up with a definition paper. And basically, I would love to go through that with you and just point some things out. And afterwards, I would love to give you some introduction, because I came up with some different types of agents, and I came also up with some different levels of agents, so that we can kind of assign and categorize where our agent, or the agent that we imagine, lives, and also what are the consequences for it being at that level or being of that type. So that's some more like contextual stuff. I also brought some use cases. Like I'm still not that satisfied with the use cases I came up with, but I think they're a bit beyond the typical stuff like customer service that we see all the time. But I also brought customer service, so that's that. And then we want to go into agency, decision making, and autonomy, and that's, for me at least, a big part of what we will get this year, and we get a lot more of it, and we'll get more reliable. And I have some clues why this is, and that's actually what I want to talk about. And from that, I want to go into, I'm still not sure if I want to use this, but I think of it about this like a digital employee. And that has some interesting consequences, and shows also some consequences to the approach you want to take or you have to take. And that's just something just want to elaborate. And also from that, going to benefits and risks. And if we have any questions, I will also be answering stuff along the way. We could do a Q&A. You can even join me live if you want to on the stream. I can send you a link, just DM me. So, but that will be a later part. First of all, I would love to go through these topics. So that being said, I of course forgot to open the article. So there we go. Let me quickly share this. So this is an article by Anthropic. Let me make this a bit bigger for you. This is an article by Anthropic, the makers of Claude AI, and basically the AI that I use kind of most at the moment. And they came up with a really interesting article. I think I will link it in YouTube or something. Maybe I can even just throw it in here. Can I? I'm not sure which. Yeah, I think it's not in all channels, but it's on YouTube, Twitch, and YouTube and Twitch. So I can quickly drop it into the live stream on LinkedIn as well. So So you can look at it later, because I won't go word by word through it, but it is actually a good article, and it's worth taking a look at it. And they did some interesting. They had some interesting thoughts about all this agent wording. And they basically said, what are agents? And agent can be defined in several ways. Some customers define agents as fully autonomous systems that operate independently over extended periods, using various tools to accomplish complex tasks. Others use the term to describe more prescriptive implementations that follow predefined workflows. At Anthropic, we categorize all these variations as agentic systems, but draw an important architectural distinction between workflows and agents. Workflows are systems where LLMs and tools are orchestrated through predefined code paths. And agents, on the other hand, are systems where LLMs dynamically direct their own processes and tool usage, maintaining control over how they accomplish tasks. And this alone is already a pretty good thing, because I've seen a lot of agents that are basically workflows. So they are kind of a sophisticated thing of what we already did like the past 20 years with workflow tools and toolings. For example, also chatbots. Like we had chatbots before AI and everything, and they were more like rule-based. And now we have workflows And they have a lot of definitions with workflows, which I won't go into because I want to jump to the agent part. But I think this distinction is really, really good. So if you see like AI agents labeled on everything, like this distinction alone already like makes stuff a lot clearer. They have one graphic where they basically show, so you have first of all, like this is the augmented LLM. It's like RAG systems, like where you have an input, the LLM retrieves stuff, maybe it does even tool calls and gives an output. So that's like the general thing. And then you have workflows. Workflows might be something like a prompt chain where you have an in call, then you have an LLM call, then you try to decide something, and then you have another LLM call, and like stuff builds on each builds on each other. And that's kind of one of the workflow examples. You have like different things here. You can, like I said, just read through it like yourselves. But what I actually think describes an agent better is this one, and that's the thing. Like, there's a really really important distinction for agents, and that is that agents are aware of their environment, and they take actions. They get feedback from their environment. It can be human feedback, but it can also be automated feedback. Like, for example, in programming, you have tests that test your code, and if they fail, your code is not right, and you can go ahead, like fix the code. And in this scenario, the human gives maybe the input. It doesn't even have to be the human, but there's some input or some trigger which is called, and then the LLM decides itself what actions to take, how long to iterate. It's like it's more of a loop than a line, and decides itself when the task is finished before it gets back to the human with the result. So this is kind of this whole part of agents is like having agency. And they go on and said also when to use agents, and that's also an interesting part. Agents can be used for open source. Agents can be used for open-ended problems where it's difficult or impossible to predict the required number of steps and where you can't hard code a fixed path. So because like if you remember the workflow, it has like a predefined path and also a predefined number of steps. But a lot of tasks, especially if you want autonomy, are not that. A lot of tasks are basically like we want to go from here to there, but we don't know what's in between. We just know the outcome we want. And maybe not even that exactly. We just like, maybe we have a vague idea of the outcome and we have to take this and iterate on that and maybe even like get to a better definition of what the outcome should be before we even start. So like this just leads to the situation where you don't know exactly how many steps you're doing and what you need to evaluate. And that's where AI agents come in with their autonomy and agency to decide themselves what to do and what to do next and what to repeat. So the LLM will potentially operate for many turns, and you must have some level of trust in its decision making. Agents' autonomy makes them ideal for scaling tasks in trusted environments. That's also something we will talk about in later stages. Like you have to put clear guardrails because you cannot allow the AI to just do what it wants and like use the tools in whichever way it wants. There has to be some like security layer in between, because we have this iteration. It's the next part. The autonomous nature of agent means higher cost and the potential for compounding errors. You have to imagine like an LLM is maybe like you have a pretty fitting use case, and your agent is like well built. And let's just assume you have a 95% success rate on tasks. But you still have like these 5% that it might error out, it might hallucinate and stuff. And these errors might compound so that the longer the agent works, it kind of gets lost in its own errors because like they add up. But that being said, there are ways to mitigate that, but it is still something to work on. And that's why I think this year will be important for AI agents and like agent systems. I think we get to a point where the systems get more reliable. We understand how to prompt them better meanwhile. And there's like a lot of things coming together that makes it just like that little bit more reliable and therefore better suited for agent systems. And of course, extended testing in sandbox environments, along with appropriate guardrails, just what I just said. So they have some examples which are also like widely spread. Like the one is the SWE bench, which means SW stands for software engineering, and is basically a benchmark for testing how good your AI is in coding with like general software engineering tasks. And in software engineering, you have this a lot. You have a concept and you have something you want to achieve, but there is like a lot of steps and branches and stuff that just like are included that you don't know when you start. So you have this kind of always that you ran into something that you didn't see coming, and then you have to iterate on that. And that's how you oftentimes like also lose a lot of time, because you have to do these iterations yourself and stuff. That's also where I use already like agentic systems for coding that do all these iterations for me basically. My only problem is I still have to kind of prompt them a lot manually and then wait. Like they already have the capabilities now to iterate on themselves. But yeah, you have still like a waiting period that is not, I still don't know what to do there. But about my experiences, I will talk later. They also reference their own computer use, which is basically an AI agent that looks at your screen via screenshots and like is able to click with on your screen and like execute stuff. You can test it in in a sandbox environment, because it gets kind of wild. So you shouldn't give it access to your like main system. That's not a good idea. They have like a sophisticated example here, how this could work. And they also talk a lot about like, if you don't need an agent, don't use them, because one of the downsides is they use a lot of tokens, which might get expensive. For me, for example, I also would love to have some agent system that's running locally on a machine in my home with my like solar panels. So kind of like that is like controlled and it's just limited in what it can do by the system itself, which already introduces some guardrails. Because if I have an API, it can just call as much as it wants. Of course, I can limit the API, but there's like, I don't want this. I would love it to like be kind of contained as much as I can, because we have a lot of examples. For example, this computer use thing by Claude, they kind of let it run, and it was doing a software engineering task. And in the middle of the task, it just started Googling the Yellowstone National Park, and nobody knows why. So, and that's what I'm saying. Like, these systems have to be taken care of like a lot beforehand, and guardrails have to be set. It has to be tested a lot. But then they can do stuff that just wasn't possible with computer systems before. And that's, I think, really tempting. So, but yeah. They also have something they call like craft your agent computer interface. And they kind of compare this with like human interface design, where we say, okay, we build the internet, we build websites so that humans can use it properly. You have kind of to do the same for agents, where you have to define and prepare the tooling in a way where the agent has a good interface to explore the world, to get this information, to get and reach your data, and all of that. Like, so there's a lot of design and improvement needed to be actually effective in having the agents accessing the data. So you have kind of this interface layer, which has to be improved. And they kind of think like, the time you needed to improve interfaces for humans, calculate the same time for improving the interfaces with agents. I kind of disagree on that, but also I don't, because like I have this all the time. Like I know how to prompt my like I use agents during coding, so that's my background. I use them a lot during coding, but it's like it's not fully autonomous, but they already take steps themselves. Like they search the files themselves, they decide on what files to edit and how to insert the changes. So that being said, I know how to prompt this, and I know also that we have limits to what we can express with language or what we can see from text. So sometimes you need like a lot of time just like and looping around, because it kind of gets into this vicious cycle of it correcting something, then it's not working, it corrects back to the previous version, and so on. So there's like a lot of input optimization, and sometimes just like you sometimes need a picture, a screenshot alongside the text for it to deliver you a good result. And that's what I started doing more and more like lately. Also for document analysis, I needed to process big documents, and what I was coming up with was I created an algorithm that was able to read the table of contents. And if I just gave in like the raw text, it most of the time just wasn't able to properly get me all the table of contents. Handing over the picture of the table of contents, wasn't also enough. So, but if I combined both, I gave it like, this is the image, this is the text, so now please give me the contents of the table of contents. It was 100% correct. And it's not always, of course, it has failures too. But that's what I mean, like the interfaces and how the data is delivered, how the data is like fetched in the first place, how it's delivered to the agent. There is a lot of tuning involved in that. And that's, for example, where I think that something like Copilot Studio can have its strength, because you have kind of Microsoft optimizing the agent interfaces to the Copilot system, and that might be good. I'm a bit torn still on the Copilot way of doing things, but they bring in more and more customizations so that you can tailor solutions to your need. And that's ultimately what you need to do to get this working, because you have so many small and sometimes even bigger ways to tune this agent system, which you need to make it really work. Okay, so that's Claude. I really like highly suggest you read this article. I posted the link, I think, on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch. If you're if you're an ex, like, sorry, have to visit my my LinkedIn channel. And yeah. So let's switch back to our agents. So yeah, this one we have. So different types of agents. I'm working actively on an agentic system layer, which I will love to finish it in some days. And in that, I really think hard, together with O1, to be honest, and Claude. I think hard about how we could transfer what an employee does or what I am doing in my everyday life. So ultimately, I build it for me and my company so that I can just automate stuff. And I came up with some definitions myself. I found some definitions on the internet. Also, how I prepared for the stream, I will be doing a short video tomorrow, so check out my LinkedIn there. Yeah, let me quickly bring up this one. Yeah. So I created a paper, like small presentation about AI agents, DM me please if you want to if you want this, or write a comment under the video. I'm happy to share this with you. So, and even if you just see the recording, still the same. Yeah, just contact me. It's like I tried to compile what I'm talking about today into a document, so you can take it with you and look it up some other day. And yeah, thinking about agents and orchestration of agents and getting them to work, basically, I came up with these 4 roles. You have the manager agents. Oftentimes when I build agent systems, I have like one project lead, basically, his only task is to orchestrate all the other agents. Like, that's what he does. Like, he oversees tasks and delegates to specialists. This is most of the time, at least as of yet, the strongest model, because it kind of needs to be like general purpose, because it needs to understand what to do in which situation and which specialist which specialist a task should be assigned to. Then analyst agents, these are kind of pretty important, because they do research. Like, for a given task, it might be necessary to gather data, to research stuff, to search on Google, search through browser, like headless browser or something. So they're gathering and analyzing data. Then you have also checker agents. They kind of ensure accuracy. And I'm redundant here, sorry. This is not the planner agent. That's not what it should be. It should be like the execution agent. So we have basically checker agents who test the outcomes and do stuff like majority voting and things like that, to figure out if what the specialist agent's output was good or not, and if it meets the necessary criteria. And the planner agent, like, I have to correct this, is like the execution agent is basically the specialist writing the code, writing the creating the Excel sheets, finance reports, whatever. So I have this kind of split up where I have people who like agents who do the research, agents who do the work, like they create the output with whatever the analyst came up with, and they kind of dumb, if you want to say, like they are straightforward, just executing on what they're given. And then you have the checker agents, which are testing, overseeing the output, just like as an extra instance, or sometimes even like if you do programming, execute tests, see if it fails or not, giving it back to the execution agents. And like I said, the manager oversees it. The manager also, like, this is also something that's debatable. You can build these systems, or you need to build these systems with human in the loop, which means like at some point the system has to recognize, okay, I need human feedback, and it needs to get it. You can't do this all through the manager, so only the project lead talks to the human in the loop. You can also do it with the specialists asking directly to the human. I'm still not like finally decided on that, but yeah. So that's the types of agents, and then I want to go over the levels of agents. And at the base, that's something we already have. Are basic agents that just have some tools and decide which tool to use when by themselves. So they have a little bit of agency. They have some tools, but they're like still kind of basic. Then you have agents, which would be like level 4. Like level 1 will like the top level agents would be like the number 1 agents, which can do basically everything. And you have like reasoning, decision making, agents that are capable of basic reasoning and decision making, where you already have agents who not only like execute a tool, for example, receive the weather when it's needed and stuff. So, but you have some thinking in there. So for for example, have a task where you first need to recognize the steps that need to be taken. You reason about this, and you decide which steps to take, which are necessary, which are not. Also, maybe what to ask for to be able to fulfill the task. Then you get to level 3, which is kind of like this. I think I need to switch that up. But like the mid-tier agents, which I think we will get this year more of, is kind of these agents that are not only working through a task and giving you an answer, or working through a task step by step and doing some more complex stuff, but that actually have memory and reflect on stuff. So they there's a difference if an agent is just like internally reasoning about stuff, maybe asking something to the human, getting back information and running with that. On the contrary, you like if you want to extend this, you would have stuff like artifacts created. So you would have stuff like notes taken, a memory, like let's recall what was done before, and maybe get this. So basically building up kind of a knowledge base along the way, which can then be like reused at a later point. Then you have generalization and autonomous learning, which takes this whole concept a bit further, where just like you have this research agent, he gets some new data, you learn something new, or for example something fails, then you get ahead, take the error, whatever failed. You then get this, get additional information from the internet, from internal sources, wherever, and then you save this to some external learning database, and so you can just adapt to the situation next time over and over again. So in this case, you use the in-context learning capabilities of LLMs, which means that you can hand over into the context what they need for executing on a task, and that way they kind of gather the information they need to act on this unknown task, which they have to adapt to, and they save this in some learning system to later then retrieve this, and being like they just kind of learned a new skill because they have in their learning database the ability to save this and later on check their own learnings if this task comes up again or a similar task. So they kind of adapt and get better over time. So that's actually really not easy to do. There are some new papers that came out in December, I think, about that, but there is still like a way to go to get to the stage. And it's also highly dependent on how good is the model with larger contexts and actually following instructions from the context. And then you get like this one step further where you say, okay, now we have these agents, they can reason over stuff, they can work with each other, they can learn. And now you get into and said, hey, let's add personality labor on top of that, where you say, okay, these agents have like, personality is maybe the wrong word, but they have traits and abilities which let them collaborate with other agents in a certain way. To be completely honest, I'm not actually sure how good this, or how this would look in practical terms, but that's kind of a definition I found, which I found is like even more advanced, where you get like from the purely logical, like rational thinking to a more like, okay, what if you have different personalities with different traits and different kind of specialists, if you want, and how would then they then collaborate with each other, and would this improve the overall results? Okay, so these are levels of, I think I should like, I kind of felt wrong to have the 5 up top and like the 1 on the bottom, but I think I have to, like level 5 is kind of like the higher level. think that's I will change that before I give it out. Okay, that's about the types and levels of agents. Now let's go about go about some use cases. And as this is like up and coming right now, and it's not that easy to find anything else but like support. You see, it's also in here. It's like not the customer support, but it's more the IT support. This like I brought just 4 use cases. I want to go briefly over them, explain how the agents might be tailored to this task and what's behind that. So the first one is like personalized finance advice. AI agents in finance can analyze user profiles and market trends and offer tailored financial guidance, investment suggestions, making financial planning more accessible. What does this mean? So there is a lot of AI in like stock market and stuff. And you have, like I said, there is just already a lot of it, but it's all based on logical. It's all based basically on like time series data, on analysis of the history and trying from the history to assume what will happen in the future. If you know the stock market or financial world in general, you know that stuff's not going always the way that it's supposed to do. And you have like different indicators which are kind of soft. It might be some bad news, might be some it might be some like catastrophe that happened somewhere, which then like has big influence on the stock market. Gen AI with this language understanding would give us like the option to analyze this properly and then like try to make sense of it. And it could do this for you, which means like you might have your portfolio or something, and it can just like watch your portfolio, watch the live news, but it has to do this autonomously in the background. So it's not helping if like there is a news and you ask the AI, hey, is this bad for me or not? Like it might be already too late, right? So because other people also use these systems, so you have to be up to date. So that's where agents would come in, where they have an autonomous agent system would be in that case that compiles the news, sets them into context with your portfolio, and like triggers a warning or something on your phone, for example, to then like warn you that this might be something, and you still can you can discuss why the agent thinks that's an issue, and then you can make a more informed decision. 24/7 IT support. I built actually something myself, which is not an agent system. It was more of like a sophisticated RAG system, where we tried to remove the first level support, or at least kind of set a 0 level support in front of that. And if you take it further, for example, Google presented like the Flash 2.0 model, which is like a really lightweight, at the moment, free model. I think it will be at cost as soon as it's officially released. But they can share your screen, for example, show what the error is, and it guides you with voice or text, that's up to you, through what to do, because it can just in real time analyze the video you're showing. And that's really, really helpful. And with that technology, I'm also working to incorporate a voice into my agent systems that I built for myself, where I just try to be able to actually interact with voice and like plan my day, create tasks, create artifacts, and let the AI do work for me, because that's ultimately what I want, so I can focus on working. How do they say? Working on the company, not in the company, because AI does my work, and that's like, I think we're not that far off for at least like this standard out of the box like CRUD application. I think AI will be able to do a lot of stuff that's usually on Upwork and portals like that. So yeah, I think Devin is out there. It's not the best example, but it shows where this all can lead to. So yeah, real-time fraud detection. I would even like just reduce it down to an agent that automatically scans my emails, decides if there is a scam or fraud attempt, something, and just brings stuff directly into the trash. But this is more like monitoring transactions in real time to identify usual patterns and suspicious activities, crucial for security and in banking and e-commerce. This one's already going on. There's already like classical AI systems doing that. But having this layer of semantic understanding of what stuff goes on might also introduce like a new layer which you hadn't had before, where you can reason over stuff and not only see for watch anomalies and stuff like that. So bringing a bit more of like the semantic side of things with Gen AI. And automated hotel services, or like automated services in general. Like I had sadly more contact with the working conditions of hospitals and how they, as a consequence, treat patients and their relatives. The last years, not myself, but close relatives. And I don't know. I'm not allowed to say this loud, but it's an S show. So you can imagine what I want to say. And you really, 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 really need systems that are able to aggregate data and present data in a language that's like understandable. And also, like, we had a case where we have like 3 or 4 different parts of the hospital working on the same case, which was my relative, and they didn't talk to each other whatsoever. And they kind of like they were like several times really close to really, really bad decisions. And like, this is avoidable. Like, we can have kind of automated systems that are able to streamline all these processes, like, for example, I know, like, from my mother who works in a hospital, how much time it always takes to hand over to the next shift. This is all like why we can have something a system 24/7 that's monitoring all that's going on, and it has all the information. Like, like I know there is a lot of stuff that's like standing in the way kind of this. From like a data security point and stuff. Like, I get this. There are solutions to a lot of these, and it could save lives, literally, or at least save a lot of harm that is caused by not communicating properly. And also for relatives, it's oftentimes, if you have someone, for example, who's not a native speaker and he's in a hospital and he has like a really complicated procedure to go through, just to have something to talk about, someone to talk in a language that the patient understands and also the relatives understand if the patient's not able to anymore. So like these kind of things, like, I think if we would have systems that act on themselves, collecting data, presenting data, giving hints, this could improve a lot. We have this automated hotel services here. It's like agents in the hospitality industry can streamline room service, suggest nearby amenities, upsell hotel services. All the stuff that we do right now with like Google and a billion apps, you could just have this as a service in your hotel, have an agent system that actually is kind of personal concierge for every one of your guests. And if that's not a revenue potential, I don't know what is. Okay, so that's like some use cases and how to think about it. So let me quickly go back to our agenda. So yeah, we talked about types of agents. We talked about use cases where stuff's already leveraged, and now I would want to go a bit deeper into what agency and decision making and autonomy, at least for me, means in the whole AI agents. So let's imagine we have an agent, and this agent is let's go with the hospital idea. So we have an hospital agent. So this hospital agent by itself is just an LLM, has a system prompt, is set up. Maybe the LLM has some fine tuning for that case. But yeah, besides that, we have those hospital agents. These agents have a bunch of tools. They can use. They have access to data. That's, by the way, something I think most hospitals will struggle with, is actually have the data in some digital form where you can process it. But that's another topic for another day. And then you have, let's just, the tools. And then you have the human. Let's just make this. Okay, so what does agency mean for me? Well, let's start with agency. Like, they are not all the same, but at least agency decision making is something I want to talk. So, like, the most simplest form of this is like the human has a request, and the agent like gets the data. It gives back. The data. The agent maybe also needs to execute some tooling on that. Get maybe some additional data from an external source, which is not directly connected to the agent itself, and it does this like, it decides itself if the data it has is sufficient enough, so it has some like basic agency on how to go this, and it gives back the answer. So that's basically like the smallest version of agency you could introduce. So that being said, we also talked about this like in the first part, that we have this this loop, right? So this will also mean that the agent, maybe let's do it differently. So the data, like this is the tooling, the data, and this is all part of the environment. So, right? So now the agent by itself decides, okay, I need to go to the environment. The environment gives me something back. The agent maybe like just prompts itself to check if he has everything. And when he decides to stop, then it basically goes back to human, or just connected here. So, so like that's the minimal amount of agency that I can just from top of my head come up with. So there's not a lot of decision making involved in there. Let's imagine we don't only have, so this is like the one, like just like, so it's basically like a level 1, level 2 agent maybe. But yeah, mostly level 1. So let's imagine scenario to. Like, what could this agent do? It just like some nurse, some doctor has a question. It asks the hospital agent. The hospital agent goes through the data of the patient. Maybe does some analysis, gets some data from like the blood labs or something, and then just sees if he gathered all the information that is necessary, and that's like different on every patient. So we don't know, like on every request, we don't know how much information we have to gather. So yeah, we gather all the information, and as soon as we think, okay, we have enough information, we give it back to the human. So that's like the simple one. So if we would introduce decision making to that, we would maybe have an agent, and this agent is we still have the hospital agent. There's also a second agent in there, and this second agent is the analysis agent. And what the analysis agent does is actually reading data autonomously all the time. Like, data is coming in and it kind of feeds into the environment. So there is like data incoming. It's just like, so there's data incoming, analysis agent like feeds into the, we just call it environment. So, and now we go ahead. Like, this is already a kind of level where we start to be autonomous, right? So we have a bit of autonomy in there because the analysis agent like tries to create a patient folder with all the information, gets everything. So, and then we go ahead and introduce the hospital agent, and the hospital agent now is not only like waiting for the human, but he kind of ingests the data from the environment, and then he decides to maybe hand this over to a specialist agent. And this specialist agent is the specialist agent for blood analysis. So, and this thing just takes in the data from, like, the hospital agent gets the data from the environment and decides, so there's the decision maker, decides to, because he finds blood samples or blood analysis results, to hand this over to this agent for blood analysis, which kind of is trained on interpreting results from blood samples. So, like, hand over. This one is doing analysis. Kind of might be one step, might be a several step process, whatever. So, and then it gives back a suggestion, something. Okay. And this suggestion then is taken from the hospital agent, and then it decides to use the tool, which then, I'll make it like this, is triggering the human to have a look at it. Like, so why is this like, and I think like, and the beauty is, and now we already like jumped ahead, like, and the decision making and autonomy in there, but now the analysis agent just like collects data. It's dumb, right? So it feeds in the environment, and the hospital agent just scans the environment and sees maybe all the changes, and it decides itself, oh, there might be a blood sample in this patient folder. Does not have to be, but maybe there is. Then he just hands it over to the specialist agent for blood analysis. And there might be different ones, like looking at imaging from computer tomography and stuff like that. So, like or whatever scans. I'm I'm not working in a hospital. So, and then the agent like gives a suggestion, and based on the suggestion, the hospital agent decides to trigger the human and have another look at it. And while I think there is a long way until we can fully rely on these systems, it might be able to help, because the analysis agent gets data from radiology, something like that. Data radiology. And the analysis agent gets data from the nurses. And it gets data from it gets data from the I don't know. Like from different sources inside the hospital that usually don't regularly talk to each other. So and that's what I want to that's what I'm leading up to, is like this analysis agent now just compiles everything, but now you have kind of an environment which gets richer and richer over time, and the hospital agent can track these changes autonomously. Also have decide how to work with these, or have kind of some rules it follows, which are, but they are not hardcore. Like they're not like, not every patient needs all the same steps to fulfill, right? So it decides itself what handover it does, what tools it uses, and when to trigger the human. So that's basically where it all comes together, because now you suddenly have the option, without needing extra human effort, you compile all the data from different parts of the hospital into one patient folder. This one patient folder is kind of scanned the whole, like in real time, basically. Is also, and you have specialist AI assigned to even make more sense of the data they have, and you can trigger the human, and you might be earlier than it would have been. For example, if this happens around the change of the shift, like one group of nurses and doctors is going out, the others coming in, and there is some critical condition, and you have a trigger which, like, you wouldn't be, like, before the new shift starts, they wouldn't maybe even have looked at the data, even if it's already there. So, and time does matter sometimes. So yeah, this can be a system where, like, the agents are autonomously scanning data into like deciding themselves what to look at, how to check it, and when to trigger the human. So this is not an easy feat by any means, and honestly, no agent system is. But that's what agents are supposed to do. They have to be able to call some shots themselves and decide on how to approach something. And I think when this autonomy layer gets in there, and stuff's like monitored 24/7, and things are compiled properly from different data sources, brought into a language which, like, whatever human gets understands. Maybe you have an environment where, like, you have doctors from different nations working on a special case, whatever. Now you have this huge language system which is able to not only translate between languages, but also in English, for example, just try to say stuff differently, and have the option to kind of talk to an expert AI about the situation. I think this could improve a lot of the communication issues that lead to, like, really hard and bad decisions in hospitals. At least that's what I've seen several times now. And we don't have the worst health system in the world here in Germany. On the contrary, so if it happens here, I'm pretty sure it happens elsewhere. So yeah, this is how AI might save lives, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Now let's talk about one topic, which is digital employees. Is this hospital agent a digital employee? I would say yes, because like if you employ someone, he, at least after some time, should be able to see stuff, react to it, work on it, see tasks, get tasks, receive whatever is in front of him, perceive whatever is in front of him, and react and act on it. Best case scenario is your employees are also thinking for themselves. That's also something you could do in an agent system like this. But I'm still experimenting on that, so that's what I don't want to overextend this. But yeah, that's basically like the question: is this hospital agent the digital employee? I would say yes, because it's an employee that's just dedicated to monitoring inflow of data. And then it talks to you if it needs to. And you can talk to it if you need to. So the human still, of course, you still have this connection, so you can still like just chat with it and stuff like. But it's working and acting on behalf of the organization, which is the hospital, and the patients, which are patients. I don't want to call them customers, but like on behalf of the patients and on behalf of the hospital, and doing it in the best way it is set up to. Well, it can. It's defined by us, what it can and what it can't do. So, and I think this example shows beautifully that digital employees don't mean that there is job loss, because that's something that just is not everywhere, but like a lot of times just not properly done because of labor shortages in the health sector, which are like apparent everywhere in Germany at least, and I think also in other parts of the world. So in this case, like this would be a system which it's not like it has cost assigned to it, no question. But if you think about what it can do and the value and how much this would cost, or how much it does cost nurses during their shifts to not care for the patient but compile all this data, I think that adds up. And I think that's highly valuable to think about also digital employees and agents as augmenting what is already there, improving systems, and just doing stuff that nobody else does sometimes. Because this is something, this part, just the this compiling of the data from different parts of the hospital. Like in my case, nobody was doing this, and it was on accident that someone had like stepped in right before a big mistake was made. And that's not how this should work, right? And I don't want to put this on anyone working in hospital, because they're doing like a really hard and really good job there, and the best they can do, and they deliver it. Like we all know what they did a few years ago. That being said, this is an opportunity this is now a really critical part of our lives, but also for other different parts of organizations to leverage agent systems to do stuff that's either done now and wastes human lifetime, or is just not done or not done properly because lack of human labor to do it. And there I think digital employees as such will have big impact on economy. It will have a big impact on quality. It will have a big impact on even like doability or like being able to deliver any service at all. And it also like I said, in the case of the in the case of the hotel service and having a personal concierge for each guest, like that's really helpful. And that's like you can drive revenue. For example, like you can increase your ability to, let's say, sell more room service, for example, because you have a concierge you can talk to every time. Like how many? Like I'm in many hotels during a year. Like at least like 20 stays in different hotels in the last year, maybe even more. And like most of them don't have a lot of like access to concierge, or so sometimes there's not even anymore like the old telephones where you could ring the front desk. And there's one hotel which I really like, and they have an AI concierge service just through WhatsApp. You check in and it just writes you on WhatsApp, hey, thanks for your stay. Like if anything, just ask me. That being said, it's not sophisticated enough, and I would love to work with them to improve it, but I didn't get through to them yet. But it's already hugely helpful, and I could order food. I could ask for checkout times and stuff. So like all these like mundane questions, but sometimes I have to go into booking, into my booking app or into the hotel app and stuff. Like just like it costs me like 2-3 minutes. It's not a much, but it adds up if you do it a lot, to just find out these informations, because they're not obviously presented anymore in the rooms. Like the lack of information inside hotel rooms is kind of interesting. I was always wondering why, but this is a system that could solve this like in an inch. Just of course takes investment, takes tailoring to the specific organization, but if it works, it kind of works. And will it have some errors? Yes, but you can account for that, and you can plan for that, and you can test that, and you can get these systems to a degree where or you have to get them to a degree also where the like outliers, where just sometimes does not produce the outcome you want, are so little in their impact that the other impact, that the positive impact you generate, far outweighs the negative sides. So yeah, and also human employees also they are not like free from mistakes, right? There's like a lot of wrong information going around, and okay, that's a little conceptual deep dive into that. I think I'll come up with some more examples in the upcoming month, but that's just for now. And like I said, digital employees don't have to kill jobs. I think they have the really huge potential to do jobs that just nobody does, but that would be hugely helpful if someone would do them. There are benefits and risks to all of that. And on the digital employee slide, I kind of tried to get through some of them. So like I said, benefits: increased efficiency and productivity, faster task completion and optimized workflows, improve customer satisfaction. Like I said, sometimes just like having something accessible 24/7 is really helpful. So I think it's even like I had a time in hotels where I'm just like, I didn't want to use this like reception calling. I even like I'd rather called to the hotel directly through their like official line through my smartphone than use the in-hotel telephone, because I found it kind of antiquated. I lost that, but I got over this. But like I said, this WhatsApp solution is still the best thing I've seen yet. Cost saving, automate tasks. I think it's oftentimes not only cost savings in the traditional sense that like you don't need a human or something to do it anymore. It's also cost saving in a way that you pay a wage to someone, and if he uses this wage to do something that's not directly adding value, just has to be done because it has to be done. You don't have this employee you're paying in these hours. Like these are just costs you have. Whilst if you have this automated, and you can go over to actually like having him do something that also he not only adds more value to the company, but also he feels adds more value. You also save costs, and you might even increase your revenue because people are more involved in the revenue generation. Enhanced decision making. That's kind of what I just told with the hospital. Yeah, data analysis, valuable insights, stuff that just gets lost in translation, lost along the way, lost because of labor shortages, might be accessible again. And we also might enable, like there's also agentic RAG, where you go over different documents and have like more sophisticated analysis of them with agent systems. And you get the insights you maybe haven't had before because you weren't able to compile this huge amount of data you have lying in your enterprise or whatever. So that's definitely something to look out for. Increased availability. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if you reach this autonomy level, you have basically 24/7 workers on your side preparing stuff for the humans to take on and like use it. I think that's highly valuable. But there's also risks into all of that. And one, of course, you have all these ethical concerns and biases. And these are like, they are in there. These things are trained mostly, at least until now, on human data. They now started training themselves, and that's a topic for another day. But they have biases in there, and you have to test for that. You have to account for that. You might even have to fine tune on that, because just be aware of it. Like there is bias in data. It might all does not have to be even like intended to be the intention to be harmful. It just maybe you just don't have data from a specific topic as much as you have from another topic, and then the whole system leans more towards the one topic than the other one. And just like be aware there are biases in the training data, and you need to test for this. Job displacement. I talked about jobs that are now kind of costs being done. That might also mean that you have people who are not qualified enough to do the more value add job you would want them to do. So if you think about agent systems, to how could you do this with the people? How could you train the people to other things, other tasks inside your company, which you would love them to work on? Because I always say like this, like it's still better to have to train someone who maybe already worked for a long time for you, to train them on a new task and see them and have them developed, because you know who you're working with and that you can work with him or her. And to train such an employee is, I think, a valuable thing to do, and it's better than to just fire him or her and then try to replace him with someone else you don't know and who might be like, we all know the costs associated with switching someone out, right? So yeah, I think might be a bit naive, but it's something to keep in mind. Security risks, yeah, they're like a whole slew of security stuff you have to, like, first of all, your data access layers have to be properly protected and the permissions have to be set properly. You have to guardrail these things to to actually be able to make sure that it does not do unintended stuff and leads to unintended results, which over and over again, the better the systems get, the more we have examples of this happening, actually. So it is, you can deal with it and you have to deal with it. But yeah, have this in mind. You have to make a substantial effort to make sure that these systems work in a proper manner. And over-reliance and dispowerment. I found this in an article. It's not I can see this happening where you say, okay, these AI systems basically run the show, and then we had during Christmas, we had an AI OpenAI outage where the API and O1 and ChatGPT were down for a substantial amount of time. So there is no 100% service level agreement yet, and I think we have to make sure these systems are set up in a way, like all the other systems, that if something happens, if something's not working as intended, that we have some fallbacks and fail-safes for this situation. That being said, if you have someone who has done the job before and didn't need as high of a qualification, then you always could, in a case of an outage or something, have someone who's maybe better qualified do this job for a short period of time. I'm not. Yeah, I don't feel like I use these things a lot, and I still could do the stuff myself. And sometimes I have to. Like, there is still there's still things to program that I don't have AIs that can do this as of yet. So I have to do it myself, and I'm still doing it, and it's still fine. But all the things I can do with AI, I do with AI, because it leaves more room for creativity, it leaves more room for actual value add, and it leads to quicker results. And that's ultimately what I want, because I always was the guy that I love to think about stuff, and I love to come up with ideas and things like that. And now I have the option to, like, get an idea, talk to the AI. Like, I came up with a video idea back like some days ago. I was just like rehearsing. This was OpenAI's advanced voice mode, where I just said, hey, this is what I want to do. Please be my ghostwriter. And then we talked about the whole video. And it wasn't even like a lot of input from the AI, but it was just like someone to talk to, right? to actually talk about this, who also is able to understand the topics and set them into context without me preparing it for it. And that's like the beauty of the foundational models, right? So is there over-reliance and dispowerment? I can see this, especially if you, for example, if you're a young programmer and you only get stuff done with the use of AI without being able to set up a server yourself or something. I could see this being a problem some years down the line, but as of now, for me, I'm kind of bullish on this whole AI and agents, and I'm fascinated through the roof. I dreamed of these options and possibilities for a long time. And I have Bikal Jher Jmeyer. Sorry, like I butchered your name. I guess like, but asked which is the best framework for develop AI agents till now. I don't have a clear answer. I personally used a lot of the Swarms framework of OpenAI. I liked it a lot. Crew AI is something that a lot of people use, and it's also pretty popular. There is a new framework just dropped. Small agents, SMOL, by Hugging Face, which is intended to be simple to use. It's just choose whatever suits you best. And I, for myself, just decided some month ago to try to not use as much frameworks, because most what you do is just prompting, right? So the thing is, with frameworks, you have updates break stuff, and it's like a whole slew of dependencies that comes, and you're so reliant on what other people do. So that's why I tend to not rely on frameworks. That being said, like, I use Swarms because it abstracts away a lot of the technicalities, and you can focus on the prompting and on the orchestration layer and on the tooling. That's, I think, what you should focus on building AI agent systems. But in the end, just calling the OpenAI, they use the OpenAI SDK if you want to. Just you can also call just the API. It doesn't change as often. You can define function calls and then go for it. And you can one function call can be hand off to agent B from agent A, and then you go. I do this more and more now. And by the way, the Swarms framework works the same. Like, you have a tool which like has the handover to another agent, and that's how they that's how an agent decides to hand over to another agent. You said it well. Like, it's the main issue. If you use something now, it will be irrelevant after 1-2 months. So that's the thing. And being irrelevant or not, it's not even the worst thing. The worst thing is, like, they update the library and you update it just because you want the latest feature, and it breaks other stuff, and stuff is deprecated all the time. It is still a hell on the JavaScript frameworks, and it's the same with LangChain. It's the same with all of them. And okay, cool. I think that's what I want to talk about. I might also share some findings which we can just, like, we're talking about building if you're building AI agents, just some tips, or if you work with AI in general. So context is king. I posted this, like, I think a year ago or something, and that's still the case. So if you build your agents, think about how to have the context as rich as possible, but at the same time as small as you can hold it. Because even with Google in their, like, 2 million token context window, there is a lot of misconception about what you can do with this. Because the thing is, with context, the more you need every detail of the context be incorporated into the token generation, and therefore in your answer, the more you have to rely on the context being, like, properly properly compact. Let's say it like this. It doesn't mean you have to do everything like in 1,000 tokens. The systems are capable of working really well up to 20, 30, 40,000 tokens, and sometimes even more. I feel like O1 is really good in keeping track of what was said. Because, like, it takes more time, more test time compute. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that's going in there, and they get better and better. That being said, the most critical things I discovered to make my work with agents work properly is exactly that to keep the context as compact as possible while having still all the information. That what's the consequence? You need dynamic context, which kind of rebuilds itself based on the current state of the task. You might have to keep track of a state. So in between agents, they all work with something, they produce something, they give something back. And I usually let the managing agent hand over to some like note taker agent, basically, which keeps track of the state. And that's like highly important. If you want something more practical, I found out, and this is like really cool, I had this idea framework. Like, if you watched some of my earlier streams last year, this is kind of a concept where I say, okay, I have an idea and I build derivations of it, and like layer on layer, we build up the application so we have a constant context. And that's like the whole idea. And I found a practical way to do this, which is basically, I even have this here, like the easy mode. So if you use Cursor, for example, or Windsurf, or some of the agentic coding agents, agentic coding IDEs, you have your general context, a concept, and I always create like a markdown file where you have like basically that's what I want. That's like the end goal. And I mostly do this with O1. It's like I open O1, say, hey, this is my idea. Let's create a concept, and O1 is pretty good with that. And then I say, then I prompt, basically, hey, this is my concept. Please create the smallest first step to go towards this concept. Then it creates whatever this first step is. You might have to give some input. If that's where I like some engineering background is really. Can be appreciated. And then you go ahead and after you created whatever you come up with, or it come up with, you create tests. So with the like intention of this one thing that you just built being done, like it's functional, like you know that it works and you have already tests. And these tests will be important in the next steps. And that's basically the state. You create a README. You just say, hey, for what we just built, the endpoints, functions, whatever, just build a README. Then you take this README and say, hey, this is the current state, README. Cursor is just add README. And this is the concept, add concept. So based on the current state and our concept, what would be the next step? And the cool thing is this is just a new chat. So you reset your context and you have a state which now goes into the context. And even if the README like expands, of course, with you adding stuff, it's not even comparable to what you generate in code. So you can, with the README, just keep track of what you've done. And then you do this next small step. You do the next tests. You update the README, and you go back to start. So I literally copy the same prompt, which I think I can show it to you, which is not that one. So, for example, this one, just like throw it in here. Damn it. So this is the current state of the project. Add README. This is the concept and goal. This is the concept and goal of concept. We could MD. So could you please suggest without programming? That's important because otherwise he starts programming right away. What would be a logical small next step towards that brings us closer to implement this? And then this one is even like working with a subconcept. I will make next week a video on YouTube on that, about that. But that's basically what I do. Just like copy over again and again. This is the state. This is the concept. Next step until you're done. It works wonders. I'm able to build, or I feel like I'm able to build anything. And if you have a next step that is more complex, or you try to kind of a bit like go a different path than what you intended in the first place, then you go ahead and you just like say, hey, let's create a sub concept. For example, what I'm doing is right now I have a headless task management system that's tailored to agents. So it's a task management system, like like a to-do list app basically, with projects and tasks, but it's tailored to agent use. So it's like meant for agent systems to use this. And at one point I said, hey, wouldn't it be nice if we had some containers for every project, or a container for every project where you can store artifacts and execute data in a sandbox environment? That would be nice. And then I went ahead and said, hey, by the way, this is what we've done. Also, that's the state. That's the concept. I would love to extend this with a sub-concept of a more complex thing, which is integrating the containers. Then we built a subconcept, also just an MD file. And we put in this sub-concept, and then we did the same, layer by layer. So like, this is the concept, this is the README, this is the sub-concept. We're working on the sub-concept now. Please provide the next steps. And it works. You can do really, really complex stuff. And the thing that costs, and that's this disclaimer, the thing that costs the most nerves, he fucks up the tests all the time. The code is cool, and it's even rarely that he has to fix the code a lot, but he has to fix the fucking tests a lot. And I'm still working out on how to fix that. I'm sorry for swearing. YouTube, don't block me, please. So that's but you see, like, it's enraging me because it costs so much time to fix the tests. So I still have to figure out. I kind of get a bit of a grip on it. And the last 2 or 3 rounds I did, the tests were fine, with a little bit of tweaking. It also seems to ignore my cursor rules for whatever reason. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, there we have it. I think I'm not sure. I tried to make the video on the weekend. I already have the preparation and script for that, so just need to record it. But this is like the easy idea framework or simple idea framework, which I'll formulate, I think, very, very shortly. And I hope for everyone who's programming with AI that he or she will achieve much better results. And I hope to incorporate this whole idea and system more into the agent systems. That's what I'm building my own because I'm not the biggest fan of chain of thought for everything. And I think we have to take another approach to make AI systems more capable. But it's all still testing. But I have my AI usage changed a lot since I came up with the idea framework, and it's changed for the better. So cool. Tomorrow will also be a short video how I prepared for the stream. Will be on LinkedIn. Maybe it also will be a short. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you for your input. Go ahead, build agents. I think it's valuable SF. I'm stoked. I hope that I can provide you with some more and better frameworks shortly to have kind of a no code solution to agent systems. Still out in the wild. I might also just open source it for devs to use. I most likely will open source it, but still some work to do on that. Can I show it to you maybe? Wait. Do I have the server running? I have. I connect this whole system to Flash 2.0 from Google. And just a quick test. Hey, how are you doing? Maybe I just, I'm not sure if I Do I share audio? Oh, I don't even share the screen. Never mind. Sorry. Sorry for that. Yeah. So now we're going. So do I have audio? That's the question. I should have. Hey, are you there? Wait a second. I'm not sure if. Yeah, you shouldn't try stuff live. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How can I help?
Could you please list my projects?
Okay, I see one project called Implementing Agent Orchestration.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Could you please open the project?
Okay,
Okay.
I have opened the
And
project
can you please
Implementing Agent Orchestration.
Can you please create a new task waving goodbye to the stream?
Sure, I can do that. What agent type should be assigned to this task?
It doesn't matter for now.
Okay, I'll create a task called Waving Goodbye to the Stream with the agent type task_executor. I have created the task Waving Goodbye to the Stream.
So
Is there anything
that's kind of
else I can help you with?
I have built my task management system. That's all. Everything you see here is built by AI, except like the general application for voice interfaces from Google, the demo application. But everything inside with all the UIs, that's all built by AI. I didn't write a single line of code. You see this project. This project has a container. You can create tasks. And all the endpoints are basically tailored to being used as tools by an AI agent. And there is no autonomy in there and barely agency. So, of course, from I think 8 tools, it decides which one to use based on the audio input. I like the latency; it's kind of good, and that's what I'm working on because I kind of feel limited right now with my AI usage by how much I have to still manually input into ChatGPT, Claude, and copy stuff over and use a billion different tools. And I want something that just does the work in the background. And this task management system has agent assignment. It will have linking to artifacts. It will have the sandbox, which it can execute stuff in. And that's basically my contribution, I hope, to better agent systems, that in between all the agents, they have the overarching projects and tasks, which they can check their tasks, save the state, save the artifacts, and have some work output, and also have conversations and human in the loop. I find it kind of cool now that this actually works because Google's Flash 2.0 is still pretty bad at function calling. Like half the time it says it executes a function without actually executing it. But yeah, so that's what I'm working on. That's why this and all that leads up to this was kind of the reason why I was a bit absent on social media lately. But I will change that because I'm eager to share and work with you all. And yeah, I hope you had a good stream. I myself had a really good stream. I have to fix my documents though. And yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, really thank you for being here, for staying with me, and for commenting. I really hope you're doing well. Have a beautiful weekend wherever you are, and see you next week. Bye-bye.